Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Classic Arcade Repairs. Sean back with you once again. And if you cannot tell, or you could not tell by reading the name of the video, we have a Space Invaders 3-board set. And this is a different type of board set. I'd never seen a Space Invaders 3-stack with this type of basic midway setup on a the amp. This is a different layout of this board, which is cool. It's always cool to see different stuff. I've never seen the board like this. It's very interesting. It is Taito. It is original. They just came out with so many flavors of this board. Really strange. We have here the CPU/RAM board, and this is the memory board and the sync board, I think. This is the input, output, and audio, and this is the CPU, RAM, I suppose. This one, the claim on this, the complaint, I should say, on this is that it was fine for a long time. And then it just started, the graphics started getting lines in them and doubling up and everything, and then it crashed. So, sounds like we've probably got some sync issues on this board. And the owner wanted this Brazington kit to sit flush. It had these things sitting in it like this. And the Brazington wouldn't sit flush because of all of this here. What we're going to do is remove and replace all of these chiclet caps with like axial leaded 0.1 microfarad caps that are to the board. We'll replace this whole line here. We're going to replace this guy with an electrolytic, and we're going to lay it down. And then I'm going to remove this socket right here, and I'm going to put a machine pin socket in the board. Or I might just solder these into the board. I don't know. I might as well just use these. We'll solder these straight into the board. And how we're going to do that is we're going to take this Brazington kit and put these onto here. Put these things onto here. Set it how we want it. And then we're going to tack solder it. We'll tack solder the ends. We'll tack solder in the middle and maybe another couple, and then we'll remove the Brazington kit and continue to solder it into the board. These two guys. So use this as a template for locating these, for soldering them into the board, and that way that'll sit flush to the board and we won't have that issue. Or I might, you know what I might just do is use a machine pin 40-pin socket. I don't know. I'll make that decision later. I'm going to replace these sockets, the 5 EEPROM sockets, because these are garbage sockets. So we're going to go ahead and update those, upgrade those. I'll probably go ahead and just replace the remaining LM3900s. It looks like there are 1, 2, 3 remaining. Yeah, so I'll just replace those for maintenance sake. And we can do that first thing. I'm not even going to hook this up and plug it in because I already know it doesn't work, because the complaint is that it crashed. So let's go ahead and just start on all that. I'll start by removing this guy right here, the socket. This has got to go. And then replace all of this stuff so that that braze kit will sit flush. And I'll replace the sockets, get all of the maintenance done. I want the maintenance done. And then we can hook it all up. And then we'll fire it up. And it'll be dead. It will be dead. I'm sure of it. But we'll be in a good position to start moving forward with this. Okay, so far I've gotten these two boards done. I have all these new caps here, you can see lined up here, 0.1s. I got the 22 microfarad capacitor replaced for the tantalum, and it's laid down. I replaced these two chiclets here, and I removed the socket that was in here, and I just soldered these right into the board, like so. Yeah. And if we take a solder ball, we take this guy, it should drop right in here. There, boom, just like that. Flush, flushly sitting perfect. And I got these sockets replaced. And I've cleaned the board really good. Cleaned both the boards. So these two are good to go. I did remove the caps that were in this board, and I removed the 3 remaining LM3900s, cleared them out. They're ready for sockets. I'm just going to tackle that one tomorrow. Well, that's all I'm doing today. Done for the day. Alright, we'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I got it put all back together. I finished the game board on the bottom and put 3 new LM3900s in it. Put all the ROMs in the new sockets. On the game board, I did replace the 4 electrolytic capacitors that were on there. These ones I am not replacing because there's no evidence of leakage and they're not bad. So the ones that stand up on the board, the radial ones, I like to replace those because you can't see underneath them, and those are the ones that tend to leak. So I went ahead and replaced those. And we've got it turned on and it is running. So it seems like this one was a maintenance repair. But just to verify and test everything out, we'll go ahead and play some games and make sure all the sounds are good and all that good stuff. So yeah, but it looks good, and this sets nice and flush on here now. And we've got nice new sockets, so it was obviously a connection issue mainly, and then problems probably with this. I did not like that socket that was in the board, so we've got it better. So yeah. Alright, we'll go ahead and play some games and make sure this thing sounds good and plays good and all that. Let's try that again. Insert coin and start. Just kind of checking the sound down here, the thump. You can see that works. It's just the volume's not turned up very high, and it's on the bottom, and I don't want to mess with it. So, yeah. And we got right, left, and fire. And game over. So let's hook it up on the tripod and do a little gameplay. Okay, turn off some lights. I'm also going to turn my heat down a little bit, so I do not want the furnace kicking on. And let's do it. Coin. Start. Darn it! play it again. That was pathetic. Last try. Oh, come on, man. Got him. Game over. All right, we're going to call it good. I'm going to let this one sit and run for about, oh, you know, the norm, 3 hours. Let me go turn the lights on. All right. Well, how about that? Space Invaders with this thing, the Brazington kit. So, yep, like I said, go ahead and let that one run for a few hours. And that's it. I'm going to give a big shout out to everyone who helps supporting with the channel and keeping this stuff going. The videos and the repairs and everything, and it's an expensive deal, and I do appreciate all of the help with Patreon and channel memberships. So, thank you all. Have a good day. And we shall see you on the next Classic Arcade Repair. Bye for now. All right, hello and welcome back. This is the second part of the twofer. The first was the Space Invaders, the 3-board stack Space Invaders, and this is Sega Gremlin Astro Fighter. And it's a card cage game. It has these 3 boards. This one's just, this folds over and screws onto this and that, and they go in this cage here. A la Gorf, the Midway card stuff. It's very similar. But, yeah, I'm getting, and he did send along an extra ROM board. This is the memory board and the sound board in one, basically. This is the sound board. This is the memory board. CPU board, CPU and RAM. And I believe this is like I/O, I suppose. So anyway, this board right here has blown up capacitors on it. There's a couple blown up capacitors, I think. Yeah, there's another one right there. And it's got a broken capacitor right there. This board is very corroded in this area. So this is going to have to all be taken apart. A lot of these ROMs look kind of crusty, so these sockets are probably no good. This board needs a lot of help. This one looks really clean, actually. So this one actually looks clean and shiny and nice, which is kind of nice. But he left a note saying that this one will not fit in the cage because of these caps. The caps are too tall, so we'll see if I got some smaller caps. I know I do, so. But these need to be cleaned up and stuff. First thing. These boards are nasty. This one's going to have to be, I might even have to, because these things are soldered in, these cables are soldered into the boards. So I might have to desolder these to get them off of this board so that I can separate the two boards. Because this one needs a lot of work. So I think I'm going to have to separate these. So that might be the first thing I do, is get my desoldering gun out and desolder both of these connectors. Separate these boards. This one's pretty bad. So I think I'll do that. I'll take some pictures of this, of where everything connects, so that I reconnect this connector properly. And yeah, go from there. Of course, I'm going to check the software, make sure it's all good on both the boards, make sure that the ROMs are good. And yeah, we need to do a lot of cleanup on this before we even try anything, because it's, what's the point? And these caps are blown up. So, all right, yeah, let's do that. Let's fix this guy up. You know what I can do? You know what I can do is I can hook this board setup with this, put this on the bench with these two, and see what we get. Let's do that. This one definitely, I'm not even messing with this one. It needs to be repaired. So it needs to be maintained. But let's put together this set with that board, this one, and that one with my harness and see if it comes up. Alright, I got it hooked up, and unfortunately this edge connector says bad, and if I don't have any weight on it at all, it won't work. As soon as I put a little bit of weight on it, it works. But that's all I'm getting, is just a nonsense blue screen, and I'm getting some kind of weird sound. So yeah, it ain't doing much. But when I first turned this on, I heard an extremely loud pop. Like something blew up, something snapped, and I don't know exactly where it was from. I didn't see no smoke or nothing. I just heard a very loud snap. Like a capacitor popped. But I can't find anything, so maybe if I look underneath this board, I'll find something. I set the voltage to 5, so the voltage is good. It's just not doing anything with this, so yeah, I'm going to turn it off and inspect the boards a little bit, inspect under this, because something snapped, something popped extremely loud, and it could be on this board. I don't know, it could be some of these ROMs or something, I don't know, because it does use -5 volts. So check that out. Okay, yeah, that looks like this is what popped. You see this vented cap right here? That is more than likely what popped. And why would that pop like that? So yeah, that's what snap, crackled, and popped. And it was loud. It was a loud snap. So I want to do a little bit of inspecting around here and see what's going on with this. That looks like it's the -5 filter probably, because it looks like the positive is to ground. So yeah. Do we have a -5 short? Maybe one of these things is bad or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Some really weird stuff happening here. I've been looking into this. Why did that thing blow up? I've been looking at my harness, which I know for a fact works because I did a repair on one of these sets. It appears that the second finger is 12 volts on both the front and the back, but they are not tied together. So it's like sending 12 volts to the soundboard and then 12 volts, a separate 12 volts to the ROMs, which is weird, but that's the way I have it. That's because I have it to where 5 volts, you can see 5 volts and 12 are tied together. Now this -5 is only one, and I do remember that now. It appears, because this is a 12 volt filter is what this is. This cap is filtering 5 volts. This negative terminal is connected to the 12 volts on the bottom side. It appears that this thing is silk screened, or it's not even silk screened, it's just copper etched incorrectly. This is in backwards because the positive should be filtering the 12 volts. And the way it's in right now, the positive is to ground and negative is to 12 volts. I believe that's why this is popping. And it's popped on this one too. It's destroyed on this one too. And I believe it's because it was put in wrong from the factory. I've been going over this, and clearly 12 volts positive goes to both of these fingers on the front and the back. But they're not tied together, those two aren't. It's just 12 volts going to different parts of the board. It's kind of weird how they did that, but that's what they did. But I think that's why that exploded, is because it was in backwards. Very strange. Very weird. So, yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I'm going to put this thing in the right way to where the positive is filtering the positive voltage, and the negative is clearly going to this ground plane right here, which is labeled ground. Yeah, so this thing is in, it's in wrong, but it's got the positive there. See that positive, the little plus? Yeah, interesting. But that's why they're exploded on both boards. I guarantee it. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, we'll get back to it. All right. Well, I removed that capacitor that was there, that was blown out. And I had to readjust my power, because that was obviously putting a pretty good strain on the power supply, because I removed that and my 5 volts went up to 535. So I adjusted it back down to about 495. And yeah, that's just weird. That's that cap is that's a mistake on the etching. Yeah. Interesting. Very weird. Anyway, still just nothing. It's not doing anything. So the first thing I would do on this is remove all of the chips. And I did check the voltages. I do have 12 volts, 5 and -5 on these 2708s. So that's all good to go. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and, like I said, these boards need to be cleaned up. That ROM board and set, that one needs to be separated. This one I don't think I need to separate because this one's not a disaster like the other one. So this one I'll just clean them up really good and just go from there. So pull the chips out and we'll go ahead and read those, make sure the software is all good. It's a 6502 processor. It's got a bunch of 4116 RAMs up here for the RAM. I think it's got 84116s. There is probably scratch memory right here. There's two 2114s, I would imagine. Actually, I don't know. Where's the video circuitry on this board? Is that on here? This might be video RAM up here, these 4116s. I don't know exactly. That's a schematic dive for sure, but yeah. So anyway, we'll go ahead and check out all of the software. I need to go in and get some information on Astro Fighter. Get some info on this thing and see what we get. Alright, yeah. I'll be back once I learn a little bit more about this. I really want to look at a schematic and find out what is what. There's two 2114s right here that make up 8 bits at a 1K range, so that would be, I would imagine that is the CPU's working RAM right here. And this is probably video RAM. And this is probably video generation all on this board is what I'm guessing. Who knows? We'll see. All right. Let me do some research and then I'll be back. Okay. Well, Astro Fighter. I've got the boards ready to be washed, as my dad would say. I went ahead, removed this section of this board. I removed these two boards from each other. You can see where I desoldered. I had to actually desolder these. It goes right here and here. So I've desoldered and removed those two boards from each other. I removed these 3 chips and the 2 caps. Remember, this was completely corroded. I cleaned off that corrosion. And now I'm ready to just wash these boards up. I removed the caps on this board and this board, and I cleared out the holes. I cleared out the solder, the cap holes. So we're ready for new caps. We're ready for new chips. I've got all of the ROMs removed. I'm going to verify all of the software in my reader. And after I get these all washed up, I will replace this socket because that's a pretty garbage socket. So, and then we'll be ready to start doing some testing. Probably put the fluke on it if I have to, and I can test the RAM and ROM and all that good stuff. And yeah, it'd be good fun. So I'm going to go ahead and get these washed up really good. Washed up really good, and yeah, we'll be ready to go. All right, hello and welcome back. Okay, it's a new day. I'm out here looking at this board again. I've got all of these boards cleaned up. Very clean. This one I've got nice and clean. It looks great. But I got to looking at the, and all of the software is good, except for what's weird is 2 of the ROMs are not in MAME. 579, which is this guy, is not in MAME, and 583 is not in MAME. So, but they're the same across both board sets. This one over here, that one right there has ROMs on it. They're the same. Those 2 ROMs are the same on both sets. So I think it's just a set that's not in MAME. So that's something that I could let the MAME team know about and upload and give them that ROM. It's only one ROM. It's Astro Blaster Set 2. The whole thing is Set 2, except for 579, which is this one, I think. 79 and 83, these two are the only ones that are different. So yeah, interesting. They're different from MAME, but they're the same across both of these boards. These are both Set 2 with those two anomaly ROMs. So what I'm going to do is, I got red dots on each one of these sockets that have at least one corroded pin. And it's most of them. Well, it's half of them. This one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Half of them have at least one corroded pin and it needs to replace. I think I'm going to replace all of the sockets. And I've already gone through and prepped these things for desoldering, and all that is basically is adding fresh solder into all of the pins. I've already done that. So I'll get my gun out and I'll get it all heated up and everything, and I'm going to replace these two. I don't understand why they stood these caps up like this. I hate this. I'm going to put caps closer to the board. I don't like this. This is janky. I don't understand. I just don't understand why they did this. So, yeah, let's go ahead and clean this up. New sockets, and yeah, and then I have to replace these chips here that I had to remove because they were green. So we'll do that, get this thing ready to go, get it good and refurbed, and then move forward from there. All right, I got the sockets removed. Little spots of corrosion. A few green spots around. And there's a couple up here, right there, a little bit. I'll get this. There's some green. I'll get that stuff all removed good. Everything came out super good, super clean, good to go. I removed all those standing up caps because I just don't like that. And yeah, we'll get this thing repopulated with new sockets, new caps. I might even just reuse these caps. I don't know. Just pull this yellow shielding off and push them down to the board. I might just do that. So anyway, yeah, looking good. I'm going to clean off that green stuff and repopulate. All right. And as you can see, I've got the liquid tin out in my gloves. As after cleaning that off, it kind of left the copper a little exposed, so I put another layer of tinning down with a Q-tip. Just dip that in a Q-tip and spread it around, and you know, put another fresh layer of tinning over those traces. So yeah, I'm going to let this set for about 5 minutes and get a good reaction, and then wash it off. And you got to rewash the board after you do that. So. And then we'll be ready to populate.
Memory cards are used that night, and profusely apologized to the plaintiff and offered her a 50% refund on the spot. The plaintiff demanded a full refund, which he doesn't think is fair, because he did provide her with most of the party, plus pictures, and that's worth something. He's accused of losing it, but good.
Yeah. He's accused of ripping off the plaintiff.
All right, check this out. New sockets. These caps are pushed down. They'll be about the same level, if not lower than the EPROMs themselves. No more folded over caps. I hate that, like this. I hate that. Sockets here. I did reuse one cap, and I put it right here. This is the one that I reused. The rest of them are right there. Right where you belong. Yeah, so boom, done, good. So we'll populate this. I'll solder this top board back on and be ready to go. Okay, I've got this board repopulated. I've got this connector soldered back on. I got my 12 volt capacitor, 12 volt filter right here. It's actually installed contrary to the etching. You can see the positive plus right there. You see the plus? Well, that's where I've got the negative, because that is filtering 12 volts. It's a 100 microfarad 35 volt cap. That's my 12 volt filter. Over here's the 5 volt filter, which is a 25 volt cap, and the negative 5 filter is right here, which is a 25 volt cap. So that's why this one explodes on here, is because it's from the factory, it's put in backwards. So I got my chips installed, I got all my ROMs installed, and look how nicely that profile is on those caps that are between. They're lower than the ROMs themselves, so it's way better. Okay, yeah, I got this guy reinstalled. Now I'll go ahead and resolder the soundboard back in to this thing. Actually, before I go ahead and solder this back onto that board, this thing needs to be cleaned up a bit. It's got a lot of residue from a certain type of flux or whatever that just leaves this white residue. And this one is missing a pot right here. So I don't know what that pot does. And then it's got all this residue on here. And you clean that up with lacquer thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing all cleaned up. It's a mess. Okay, I got it all cleaned up. Still got to put that pot in. I got the caps, and I had to make a little repair right here where there was some damage. So I just put a little part of a lead across. A little bit of damage there, so just fixed that. New caps, cleaned it up. Looks great, nice and clean. So let me put in that pot and put in the pot, and then we'll solder this thing back into that board, the ROM board. And there you have it. 10K pot installed, and I've oriented it so that it's easily accessible. I take it that this is just to adjust some certain sound. And yeah, so good and clean. Repopulated. Everything is just incredible. If you haven't noticed, yes, I take extreme pride in my work, in my workmanship, and so should you. So yes, this is beautiful. This is better than factory. This is almost like it is Alex at Northridge would say. I always got to give him credit. This truly is better than factory. Now it might have, because it's clean, it's cleaner than factory. Now it might have bad parts yet on it. That remains to be seen, but man, it looks great. And we won't explode this capacitor, so I'm happy about that. So now we can hook up and see what we get. See what it's doing. We can start actually testing now. Okay, got the boards hooked up. Parts to parts, parts to parts, and parts to parts. And I got this on here because this edge connector is not very good, but it's parts to parts. So let's fire it up and see what happens. Listen for a snap, crackle, pop if we blow something up. All right, here goes. No snap, crackle, pop. That's good. Hey, it's doing something. It's working. I need to set the I have to do the sync. So let me set the sync up, and this thing seems to be working. Okay, well, man, my connectors are just flaky. Because now it's just a red screen. Solid red screen. Boy, did I buy some bum connectors or what? You know, I don't know. Maybe I should try putting it in the cage. Let's do that. Let's see what we get by putting these in the cage. My setup is just flaky, I think. I don't know. No, actually, I think it's just this. So, I think we have a CPU problem. So I think I need to put the fluke on this thing and make sure that I can read my ROMs really good, because I have all of the ROM information right here. I have the fluke signatures, the ranges. This is both the sets. Anyway, yeah, I've got all of the fluke info right there. And we will see what's going on with this thing. Make sure we might have CPU, RAM issue. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Uh-oh. If I'm pressing on this, I'm getting weird stuff. Well, it's back to red. Alright, yeah. I'm going to have to replace this socket. CPU socket needs to be replaced. And then I'll be able to throw my 6502 pod on this thing and see if we can have good access to our RAMs and all that good stuff. So, I'll be back. But yeah, it did come up with a screen, but it was a static screen. It wasn't doing anything. It's not working. But it's close. Alright, fluke time. Actually, first is replacing this socket. I'll be back. Well, I decided to put this in the cage. I do have a power harness made for the cage. And I got the edge connector in there. Got it running. And she running. How about that? So now we get to play it and check out our sounds. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Check it out. And man, this game is hard. I do remember playing this when I did a repair on one of these before. Hard game, but cool. Yeah, it's working good. So let me go ahead and see what our sounds are sounding like. Okay, yeah, this pot that was broken off that I put in, that is actually the volume pot. That one right there, and I got it turned up. I just got done playing a game, and it's pretty loud, to be honest. But what I want to do is just kind of, ow, oh, my back. Yeah, my back strikes again. I want to set this thing up like this, just kind of try to give you a little view of the, try to anyway. How's that? That'll work. And I want to play it and get the sounds. And I do have a credit in there, so let's go ahead and just... Here we go. Alright, game over. So, I don't know, I think we might be missing... we're definitely missing death sound when you get... your ship gets blown up, there's no sound. That's definitely missing. I don't know if there's supposed to be a sound when they drop bullets. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research. But it's not far from being done. There's probably just a couple amps or something on here that's dead or something. You know, I don't know exactly. I'm going to have to look at the schematic and find out if there's any information on what does what sounds make what. But for all intents and purposes, it's looking pretty good. So yeah, let me figure out some more about the sounds. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to let this thing run out here and kind of do a bit of a run test. But yeah, very good. I'll be back. Alright, I was just getting ready to head inside and started doing this. This looks like connection issues to me. It's either connection issues or it's just a video issue, which is totally possible. I did try reseating all of the boards and it still did the same thing. So we might have a video RAM problem, very possibly. Yeah, so yeah, it's doing this weird thing. It looks like a paint roller coming down. Just kind of started. So we may have just lost a video RAM or something. Yeah, so might have to get the fluke out after all. And yeah, see what we got. Alright. Next step I replaced this piece of junk socket. CPU socket. And I got it hooked back up, running. And it's running properly. So it's possible that some signal wasn't making it to the CPU. Maybe an interrupt signal or something. I don't know. Anyway, or possibly a clocking signal getting out and going to the video section. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, I replaced that socket and it seems to be working again. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it for a while and see what happens. Alright, actually it started goofing up again after I turned the camera off. It didn't take it but 5 minutes and all of a sudden the video started acting goofy again. What I've done is removed this one. This is the one that I had refurbed and repaired. And I put the other ROM and soundboard in. I had to remove this bar and put it in and then put the bar back in because these caps are too tall. So it wouldn't go in. So I got it in. And I'm going to test it out and let it run for a while and see if my problem is... if I start seeing the same issue, then I know it's not that board, right? So I'm just going to... and I can test this one out for sounds and whatnot. So I think I'm going to do that. Play this one a little bit and see how it sounds and all that good stuff. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. Okay, I just played a couple of games of this one. And it seems to have all of the same sounds, except this one does have the explosion sound when you get blown up. So this one seems to be complete. And I've played it a couple of times, and it hasn't failed. So I believe there is still something wrong, bad, on this board. And of course, we're missing the explosion, the player explosion sound. So we have an issue yet on this board. And this does have the CPU's scratch RAM is on here. I'm going to continue, let this thing run like this. And yeah, we'll see what happens. But it looks like this one's probably good. And that one still has an issue with the logic. So, yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm going to let this one run. I'm going to burn test this one and at least get this set good to go. And then we'll fix that one. And I'll see if I can replace these caps so that this will just go in and out. But, yeah, it is, what time is it? 4:30. So I'll come back out here about 7:30 and just shut this one down for the day, and then I'll continue working on that one tomorrow. But I'm going to let this one run for 3 hours just like this, and then I'll come back out and I'll play it again. And then this one will be good. And then we'll fix that one. All right, I'm back out on this board. I got it opened up, obviously. I got the soundboard off, and I'm looking at this board. And the first thing I want to do is I want to swap ROM sets. I want to swap the ROM set from the one that I know is good and put that ROM set on this board, because this runs. I think this could very well be a ROM issue. So I want to eliminate that first and foremost. Because this thing, when it's cold and you first turn it on, it works fine. But as it runs about 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes after you turn it on, it starts doing this. And it just gets progressively worse and worse, to where it's just a screen full of garbage. So I kind of think this could very well be a ROM issue. So I just want to eliminate that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Swap the ROM set. Let it run for a while and see if it clears up, see if it doesn't do that, and go from there. Because even though I was able to dump these ROMs in my reader and everything, it could be a situation where after they're on for a little bit, they just break down. So it's very possible. Alright, I got the ROMs swapped from the other board, and it is 11:17. I'm going to go ahead and just let this thing run for a little bit. It won't take long. If it fails, it'll fail quick. So I'll be back. Let's see what we get. Okay, it is now 11:33, so we're over 15 minutes in, and it's perfect. So this is a ROM issue. So we have a bad ROM set. Now, which one is it? Damn, I don't know. So we're going to have to, I guess, do one at a time. I don't know. It sucks. So maybe I'll do these two ROMs, and then I'll run it for 10 minutes. These two ROMs, and just keep doing that and running it for 10 minutes at a time until I find out which row has the bad ROM, and just go from there. That's all I can do. 11:38, 11:39. I've got these two in. I'm going to let it run for till about 43, 44. If no problems show up, I'll pop in the next two. So far, so good. Next two at 46, so around 51, 52 after. I'll check it, and those first two were fine, so we'll let this run and see if these fail. Okay, I just put these two in and turned it on and got that. So I believe it's one of these two ROMs. So I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to replace this guy first. Well, I think we have a winner. 575, this guy right here. I replaced just that one, and it is now fine. So I think that's our bad ROM. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the rest of the original ROMs in. And yeah, it looks like this guy's our bad one. 1211. I got all of the original chips in except for this one. So I'm going to let it run for about 10 minutes or whatever. But I'm pretty sure that we got the bad chip, because it would have already been failed. These tri-voltage parts get super hot. I mean, they get smoking hot. Well, not smoking hot, but you know, they're very warm. So, yeah. But this one failed. So, I'll have to program another one of these. 575, this one right here. And there's the other ROM set. Yeah. Still missing the ship explosion sound, your player explosion. Still missing that. Which that should be elementary, so it should be easy to get. I got to look at the manual and see if there's a schematic drawing that has individual sounds generation on the board and whatnot, and we'll figure that out. But yeah, so it's just a ROM. I'm gonna have to program another ROM. I want to keep this ROM set together, so I don't want to leave this one in here. I want to test this out with this in here. Then I want to remove this. I want to program a ROM for this, put this one back together the way it was, and this guy right here, go right there, chapter 13. Or whatever they say. I don't know. Cool. Okay. Looking good. I think we got it. By George, I believe we've got it. Okay, just programmed a new 575 EEPROM here. So I've replaced 2 in this set. And that should do it. We're looking good. So now the last order of business is just to get the sound for your ship getting destroyed. Yeah, and that should do it. I think I may have found the problem with something. This pot's broken. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that pot's broke. That's VR1. And I did print off some of the stuff here. What is VR1, by the way? I don't know. I don't see it. I think I want to look for VR1. Where is VR1? This is the ship hit signal. I don't see no VR. No VR. No VR here. No VR here. Yeah, I don't know. I need to look at the rest of this schematic. I want to find VR1 and find out what that is. It's broken. It needs to be replaced. It's probably another 10K pot, which I've got those. I'll just put another one in there. But yeah, I want to go in and look at the online manual and just look at what circuit that is. Alright, this pot came off in 3 pieces. 2 of the legs were broken off. And I've got it replaced. And we'll just put it right in the middle. I don't know. What I think this pot is going to end up doing is maybe changing. It's not in any of these circuits. It looks like it's involved in kind of the warbling like circuits. Instead of the shot sound being, it's going to go kind of echoey, I think, is what's going to happen. So I don't know. I kind of want to fire it up and check it out and see what that sounds like, because it's going to, I think it's going to change the kind of warble on like the fire sounds and stuff like that, I think. So I don't know. Let's check it out. Just as I had suspected. Listen. Hear that? Still no explosion. It's added that warbling effect to the end of the shot fire. So that was what was missing with that. So now we do still have a missing explosion sound, so we'll look into that. And it looks like it comes up and it's really just kind of discrete parts. There's some of these caps, and maybe one of these tantalums is shorted. There's some transistors here. There's this signal that goes low or high, whatever. Probably goes high to activate because there's a diode right here, and if that's forward biased with a high here, then current would flow through it. That would allow current to flow through this transistor through the diode. So I would imagine this has to go high for this sound to operate right here on this diode. So we can probe that when our ship blows up and make sure that we're getting a high signal coming out of this ship hit. And it's right here out of this LS02 at pin 4. So yeah, the way that they're wanting this to work, and you can tell by the way they drew the schematic, and they drew it as an AND, so they need both of these signals to be a 0, and the output will be 1. So that's what this is engineered. This is what they're looking for. Both of these, this and this, both be 0 to get the true output. So that is exactly how this works. It puts a high on this diode, on the anode of this diode, and it forward biases it so current can flow through it, and that activates the sound. So we can definitely probe this pin 4 of this 02, which that 02 is IC4, which is probably this guy. Yeah, I think it's this guy. IC4, pin 2. Pin 4. Pin 4 of this. So we can probe that, make sure that it is going high when our ship is exploded. And if it is, then it's probably an open transistor, I would imagine, or a capacitor that's shorted or something like that. So we'll figure it out. I don't feel any... I don't even know which ones they are, which cap it might be. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It seems that this 02 is not working. If I probe the inputs... Oh, darn it. Let me do... I gotta try this. Let me see if I can... Okay, if you can... Is that... I mean, that's a bad glare. Maybe, let's do this. I'll try to set this up to where you can see. Okay. Here, let's look at the inputs. and do a single shot, and I got to restart the game. This is one of the inputs, and when it explodes you'll see it go low. See, there. Now here's the other input. There it goes. Died. And now I'm going to get on the output. You can see it's normally low down here. And I will do a single shot, and when it explodes it should have a high pulse. And there's nothing. You can watch it, and when the sound stops that means your ship's hit. And you'll see that it doesn't do anything. Once the sound stops, here we go. Nothing. Yeah. So I'm going to try jumping a 32. I'm going to try to jump a 32 if I can get there. Let's see if it will overtake that. I doubt it. Okay, I got it on there now. Now I got to restart the game. I got to coin it up and restart. Okay. And I want to probe pin 4. Nothing. Now what I want to do is I want to take the leg on pin 4 and like raise it so that it's not influenced by the other chip. Let's see if we get a pulse out of it. Okay, I don't think this chip's any good. Let me try a different one. And grab a different 32. Okay, and I want to restart. Bear with me. Okay. And of course I gotta wait. Nothing. And this one's floating as well. That's very strange. Why is that floating? Alright, I'll be back. Weirdness. Alright, I've put all 3 probes on this. And all I have to do is start the game. So I'll go ahead and start. And we'll watch this. When it explodes, you'll get the 2 top lines going low. And then the bottom line is our signal line. Oh, I need to do a single. Yeah, see? I don't know. Try it again. I'm trying to catch the second one. Oops. Dang it. Basically, that's inconclusive because it looked like, man, I need to capture that again. And I need to coin it up again. And I need to start it again. And I need to do this. Sorry. Let's catch it and then look at it. What's going on? There we go. See, I don't know. I mean, is that low, low? Should that be doing that? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe that second line isn't going low when it should. Because that top line is low for a long time, and the second one just is a little blip. So I don't know yet. It's one of these chips. There's something wrong with one of these chips. Now if I just, the sound works if it's triggered. Here. So the sound works on the board, it's just not being triggered. And it's got to be one of these logic chips. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I replaced the 02. Fixed. I try to wait to be killed. That fixed it. So now we are complete, fixed. And this thing has already been run tested, but I'm going to let it run again. I'm going to let this one run for at least another hour. And then this is done. This board's good. This board is now good. Complete and fixed. So that's it, guys. Astro Fighter with 2 ROM and soundboards. Refurbed and repaired. I replaced the CPU socket on the CPU board. I washed all these boards really good. They were bad. They were nasty. I replaced all the electrolytics. And remember the electrolytics that were exploded? You know what I do need to do is I do need to put these caps in. I'm going to do that off camera. Those are just 100 microfarad caps. That's elementary. And so yeah, I'll do that off camera. And those are not silk screened incorrectly. This big track is the ground, and that middle one is the -5. So you see the positive is connected to the ground, and then this is the negative, or this is the 12 volt, and you'll see the outside hole there is the positive. So that is not silk screened or etched incorrectly, so that won't be exploding any capacitors. So we're good to go. Astro Fighter. We'll see you on the next Classic Arcade Repair, guys. Bye for now.